Yeah, boy. You know, way back when game journalism was actually somewhat legit. Well, legit for the time. I mean, still doubted that game journalists since like the 2011s actually played the games. But I mean, they seem that they gave at least gave you information, right? They informed you on which games were, not entirely bad, but which games had issues and which games didn't, right? They had the hold on the market, right? And I say this again, Fallout New Vegas, one of the best Fallout's ever, but the people who made that game didn't get a bonus because it didn't rank high enough, didn't get a high enough rating from a journalist site. I can't remember which one, so they just didn't get a bonus for it. So they had some pull. They have pull, and again, the gaming scene. And Kotaku, I never really knew much about Kotaku. I knew they were just another gaming journalist site that talked about games and they gave ratings. At first the ratings made sense, but like this might have been Kotaku. There was one rating for the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire game where one of the complaints was too much water. And I'm like, huh? Too much water. Oh, I understood what she was saying. Like it was the one where you had to surf around a lot, but it's just that the con of it. Too much water. Like what the fuck? But now we're talking about what happens when AI tries to write a review of video game or to review a video game. And it takes me back to this one article I read, just glanced over about how one of the writers say, like, they would rather go back to selling OnlyFans than writing articles. I'm like, I'd like, okay, so she'd rather get fucked and show her pussy online than do her job. Like, why is she still working here? And don't get me wrong, they don't have to. Again, there was this weird turn for Kotaku in like 2017 where they stopped being an information platform and started being more like a click farm platform. It's why the amount of 7 out of 10s that were shat out was idiotic. I mean, and it'd be games that were bad, games that didn't work on launch for most people would still get a 7, a 7 out of 10. And it's like, well, I get it. You're trying to be as non-controversial. You're trying to only really review popular things. I mean, if they really wanted, to capture a niche, they'd write for like indie games, games that don't have a lot of clout. I mean, there's YouTube channels that do literally just that play, shovelware. They play abandonware, so games that you literally cannot buy, or if you can't, it's deep in some archive. Why do I have the hiccups all of a sudden? Hold on. There we go. Yeah, sites that, YouTubers that just talk about indie games, like I said, you know. Obviously, you have YouTubers that talk and shit on games that come out nowadays. No surprising there. I mean, and they're doing the Lord's work. Because I can't tell you how many times a journalist has said a game was good and people played it and it was just a terrible game. Like the market rejected the game but were fooled by the journalists that the game was good. I mean, they even foregone like blatant like uh issues of the games. Like again, most games, some games just didn't really work on launch, and they just absolutely did not tell you this. There are a couple of like games on Steam that lied about being fully released when they were really in betas, and though it's not that big of a deal, I mean, if there was one person that wouldn't have bought the game if hadn't they known it was a beta, I mean, you scammed that one person. But what happens when AI tries to write a review for games? Is a comment I've seen hundreds of times in variations of throughout my time here at Kotaku. Internet complaints about the quality of reviews. A bot can do better than this. Some would cry. So let's put that to the test. I've run this test before, although last time I fed Kotaku Australia comments into the machine learning model that was run using a free online version of GPT-2 language model. Although the more powerful GPT-3, I think ChatGPT 4.5 is like the up to date. Like that's probably problem number one. You fed it into an older generation model. Like I think ChatGPT 4 can actually write like actual pictures from words. Right? That's how good it is. You put literal just words and they can write that. Although more powerful GPT-3 models available now if you're willing to pay and access the API. And again, I mean if you were doing any level of journalism, you would have paid the money. I mean that's the point, right? It's your job. So I did that specifically through a tool called Shortly. We got some fun responses last time the AI pretended to double as a commentator. What happens when we ask it to review a video game? To do this, we'll need a bit of methodology. GPT-2 and GPT-3 models functionally work by spitting out paragraphs using a bunch of text you provide as a reference point. The neural network stands that against other content in its model to try and work out the tone and direction. Blah, 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 blah. I know how it works. So to make this work as best I can, I'm going to feed chunks of different reviews that have very specific goals. Some of them will be largely mechanical, while some of them will be exclusively talking about the moment or parts that particularly experience. That particular experience. With luck, we'll get some interesting results. Well, can people's argument is that literally all of the fucking. That's all of the. Wow. Okay. Wait, is that all of it? No, it's gonna. Oh, there we go. I've had them all. The quirk that remains after Cyberpunk Major Patch is both minor and major crippling. I've had an MCC attempt to charge my position only to quite literally fall in front of me, and they fail to navigate a body. Loot will be littered across the level after a fight, but some of it will remain left behind because the game refuses to let me pick it up. I've had the game some. I had the game some determined. I've had the game some determined that I've committed a crime, despite not touching a nearby civilian, causing police to immediately spawn behind me, like they just emerged from the secret closet a la Doom. Some have been more convenient, but immersed, breaking like mini bosses and higher level enemies frozen in positions or stuck to the floor. I mean, you're trying to point out a specific situation. Like you have to be a little bit broader with the AI. Like I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do this whole spiel that we're just better than the AI, but you're you're putting in the wrong prompt. What AI produce? In one case, I stood inside a dead body and as enemies fought from the next room. One was an armored giant wielding a flamethrower, and the other a flying enemy capable of quickly dealing chip damage to my health. The flying enemy attempted to exit through a hole in the wall, only to fall repeatedly getting caught by the geometry, completely ignoring the health. Okay, I get it. Again, the thing about the AI is you can't just set it loose, right? You have to kind of babysit it to a little bit. But what people are saying about Kotaku is like they, the people at Kotaku would rather quit than actually do their job, actually play and review games. And I can't tell you how easy. Like you're literally paid to play games and to shit out the fucking opinion, right? But most of these people that work at Kotaku, right? Most people that work at like game journalist sites, they hate doing that. Like they hate the fact that games are popular. Like they'd rather be at CNN. So they're like an angsty fucking 12-year-old child that hates what they're doing, but they have to do it anyway. And again, they have the job that most people would literally like. They would pay you to do this. Like there are so many legitimate gamers that actually play games that actually can do a good review. I mean, YouTubers do this, and some of them actually make a living. Like Angry Joe, like he does this. He even plays shitty games I wouldn't even dare to touch. Like again, they're doing God's work out here. They're playing games that like again, I have this power that I'm allowed to just curb games that I know are shitty before they even come out, and then lo and behold, they come out and they're shit. Suicide Squad being one of them, right? I don't know. It's like this ultra instinct I have about game. Like again, the minute I see you know uh AAA multi-billion-dollar company talking about what the pixel on the screen likes to fuck, or like we're doing ESG blah blah blah, or there's Sweet Baby on this game who worked on this game, like just immediately, like I don't even need to try anymore. It's like ultra instinct type shit, right? So again, the YouTubers are like Angry Joe and the Flash and them. They're doing God's work out here, and I put a couple of game reviews out, not too many, because again, they're on the top. Like if there's a game like Warframe, the game is just so damn big. I don't think you can't play a game like Warframe with the expectation of beating the game. You'll never beat the game, right? It's like you're Sisyphus forever pushing that boulder up the hill. Same thing with Goddess of Victory Nike. Like, you can't play games like that expecting to beat the game, and do not ever pay money on it. Like, I know it's tempting, right? And I mean, I failed not to pay money. I paid money for Warframe, and I completely failed that test. But it was after I dumped dang near thousands of hours into the game, where I'm like, fuck it. I guess I'll buy the pack for Hildren because she's a muscle mommy. But again, I could write a better game review. That's if it's scripted. If I'm off the cuff, it'll just be sort of whatever. But I can obviously do better than the Kotaku journalist, and I don't really care what rest of this says, right? Because I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to be like, well, obviously we're better, and it's like, well, we don't really know. Again, they're picking out specific. Like, let's read this one. You play Celine Vassos, an interstellar scout working for a space agency called Astra. Returnal opens with Celine approaching Atropos, an uncharted planet, Atropos looms large and ominous, its pearl white weather system swirling ever on over a planet too massive to fit entirely in view. What is it? But this isn't easier said than done. The game is set in the year 2048, but Returnal doesn't feel like a science fiction. It uses advanced technology to emphasize the harshness of its world, rather than to create anything particularly exciting or new. You won't find any cool weapons or gadgets here. Celine has only the tools she start with. I mean, that's not a bad, like, I've seen the game Returnal. I mean, it's a little negative to begin with, but, and again, I don't know all of the prompts they use, right? The thing with, the AI models on ChatGPT 3 is it's not just the prompt you feed it, it's, how you want them to like portray the things they're trying to say. So if they're trying to portray it like have them talk like a games journalist, then they'll have one type of mannerisms. And if you want them to speak like as if they're, I don't know, a 16th century aristocrat, they'll say things in a completely different intonation. And ChatGPT 4 almost has this down to a science, right? But again, people aren't actually caring about AI, you using AI. Like, I don't think there's a single tool Kotaku can use to get itself out the fucking gutter, right? So people would rather watch YouTubers for their information about games and movies and anything with entertainment than Kotaku, because you just do not have the power you had in like 2015, 2016, 2017. Despite wasn't there a Kotaku woman who literally begged Vosh for screen time? Like, she literally almost damn near got on her hands and knees and begged him for screen time because they know Vosh's audience is a bunch of coon-brained Neanderthals, and they're like, "Oh no, well we need to gather his group of ruffians to our defense here, right?" And it's like that's not really how you do things if you have the pull that you think you do. Like, your people needs to speak with his people, and that's how people get into business, coordinations with each other, right? It's how you set things up in a business sense. You don't grovel before Vosh just to try getting like some screen time or getting on a podcast or whatever with them. That's not how you do things professionally, I might add. But anyway, again, don't care how the rest of this goes. I get what they're trying to say. Blah blah blah. We're better than the model. No, you're not. And that's all I gotta say about this. Peace.